Hey guys, Mushi Gamer here. I just wanted to make a video talking about everything that's been going on in the past week and kind of like where I'm at and how I'm taking everything in. So in case anyone watches this, it gives you maybe some solidarity or some comfort. But we all know that within the past week, or maybe even a little bit longer than that, it's kind of hard to keep up with it, but there's been really within the past few months there's just been a lot of injustice against Black people done on a systemic scale. Like there was Ahmaud Arbery, who was killed by 3 white people. He was killed by 2 white people. One was an accomplice, which kind of makes him a murderer just by association, but they actively just hunted this guy down and killed him and tried to write it off as, oh well, we thought he was a robber because we had robberies in the area recently, when there is no evidence of that on police records. The only evidence was him claiming that his truck got broken into. And so crazy as it sounds, as crazy as this is gonna sound, they actually did not get arrested until footage of them hunting down Ahmaud got posted on the internet, and then they were held accountable. And then just recently, George Floyd, something about the G and the F and that just really trips up my tongue. But he was killed by a police officer, kneeling on his neck. He was saying he couldn't breathe the entire time. And now there's 4 different police officers there. There's only 1 guy kneeling on his neck, and the other 3 were so preoccupied with trying to keep the public back, because apparently that was the threat in that situation, the public, not the police officer slowly killing a guy by kneeling on his neck for 10 minutes. And that's where the protests jumped off from that point, from just within a span of months. That's just too much. And not that it shouldn't, this isn't really new for Black people. We've been kind of mistreated by, well, no, we have been mistreated by the system. And I read a great tweet the other day that describes it really well, that the system really isn't broken. It was never intended to help Black people. It was always meant to give white people a leg up, because that's just who the system was built for. In systemic racism just means that inherently the United States system does not work for people that are not of a white straight male persuasion. If you are those 3 things, the system works perfectly for you. Everything else, everyone else, I should say, it goes downhill from there, and Black people just seem to really be at the bottom of how well the system will work for you. And when all of the protests and the videos came out, admittedly, I was just kind of sad and depressed and kind of frustrated, because I've seen this happen before, and what usually happens is people will get really angry, and then for maybe 2 or 3 days people will protest and all of that, and then it stops, and then we just go back to business as usual. But the really encouraging thing to see is that people have not, like, this is an actual movement. It's now, right now, all the protests that have been going on have made this particular civil rights movement the largest ever in human history. And I just wanted to make a video to encourage people to keep fighting. Like, you don't have to go out and protest and be on the front lines. I do understand there is a pandemic going on right now, alongside this, which would make that a very uh risky prospect within it, not including all the other dangers that goes along with it, like in examples of the police instigating violence with protesters by attacking them despite their constitutional right to protest, and the rioting and looting, most of which is not even done by the protesters that want change. Most of it are done by other groups of people, it seems. And I don't really want to kind of name them because I'm not even sure if who's doing what or anything like that. But actually no, I will name them. So most of this is coming from the rioting and looting are seemingly coming from like Antifa or just undercover cops instigating rioting and looting, or excuse me, I don't know if you heard that, white not white opportunists, but like white people trying to undermine the movement by kind of, what's the word, discoloring it by making it something dirty, by trying to make it something negative. And then under all of that, there are people who are legitimately angry and upset that have turned to rioting and looting because they don't really feel there's any other way to get their message across. And for those people, I am a very big stickler for justice. So when I say I can't really fault them for doing that, that is a pretty big line for me to say. Because no one has been listening. The Black people have been going through this for decades and centuries. And so yeah, I can't really say that I blame them. I don't think it's the right way to get your message across, but at this point there doesn't really seem to be a right way, because when protesters try to be peaceful, like in recent cases, like within this protest, some of that is met with just police brutality and a violation of constitutional rights by just attacking people who are peacefully protesting, which you're not supposed to do. It's within the Constitution, it's protected. And then before that, the last peaceful protest was Kaepernick, or the last big one I should say was Kaepernick and his kneeling during NFL during the national anthem. That was met with a lot of angry rejection by white people, of course, because that was inconvenient for them. They just wanted to watch football. They didn't want to have to think about Black people. And it's not all white people, I'm not saying that, but all the people who were upset were white. And so if that's how you feel, I understand that. And I don't have an answer for what is the best way. This movement in itself, with everything in it, has really gotten a lot of people talking. And it has already had a lot of changes with it. But before I get too far ahead, I do want to say, if you're some Antifa or whatever that is, I've never even heard of that before now, which is probably just speaking to my general knowledge of things rather than their existence or organization or whatever. If you're just out there trying to either sully the Black Lives Matter movement by trying to make it something negative, or be opportunistic for yourself and stealing and looting because you wanted a brand new TV or whatever, you suck. And you're despicable and you're garbage. That's all I have to say about you people. If you are legitimately angry and you're rioting and looting, understandable. I get it. I really do. But I was going to say, I just want to say that before I forgot. I lost my train of thought of what I was going to say before that. The biggest thing that I want to express in this video is, if you are Black or an ally of Black people, now is the time to get involved and engaged. If you aren't already, now is the time to do it. And I know it's frustrating and it can be really kind of taxing and emotionally just draining. But one thing that has really helped me during this past week is actually getting involved into the movement. Like I've been spreading ways that you can donate to different charities. I've recommended charities. I've been trying to get the message out there, and most importantly, just any way that you can help the movement is great. Protesting on the front lines, that's great. But if you don't want to, that's okay, because there are other ways that you can help. You can donate. I found a really great way, even if you don't have a lot of money, I found a really great way to help donate with just watching a YouTube video. And I'll post that down in the description. Basically what it is that a YouTube creator has created a video that has a lot of has only, I should say, Black art and Black artists in the video, and the video is about an hour long. It is packed to the brim with ads, and the ad revenue that video makes is going to a list of charities in the description of that video. So you can use that video to help raise money, even if you don't yourself have a lot of money to give. I'm going to post a link to that video in my description. And if you want just charities, there's also a lot of charities listed in that video that you can choose to donate to. And all of them are really good about explaining what their cause is, and just very educational tidbits about what they do and what they're trying to fight. And if you're more so interested in the charities in that particular video, I'll copy and paste the charities into my description feed. Personally, the charity that I have been I've chosen is the Campaign Zero one, because it feels like, or at least from what I've read, and I haven't read all the charity descriptions, so I could go and read some more and maybe change my mind, but I've read from Campaign Zeros that what they're really attacking is the system itself. And I'm not saying that the system is purely the problem, because people holding on to racist ideals and just choosing to be ignorant is also a problem. But I do believe that out of all of the things that gets addressed in these movements, the system itself is the hardest one to really get at, because it just feels like that's the one that'll be the hardest thing to change, at least to me. And so, like I said, I haven't read all of them. I might go back and change my mind. But one thing that I do want to do, and before I get too far ahead again, if you're going to use the video to raise money, please read the description and read the pinned comment at the top of that video to best utilize that video in order to raise money. Because if there is a way to, because of the way that YouTube works, that the video would generate less money if you watched it a certain way versus if you watched it the way that's described in the comments. So just wanted to put that out there before you get started with it. I personally am planning on donating to the Campaign Zero right now. If I change my mind, I'll definitely post it in an update on one of my social medias. But what I want to do is start a charity stream and have that be the charity that I donate to. I've never done a charity stream before, so I'll need to research exactly how that's going to work, or even what venue I'm going to do it on, like which would be the best one. It would be really nice if there was kind of like a creator wide thing, like with the coronavirus that Jacksepticeye started up, and I think I saw that he was doing something like that, maybe, or he was looking into doing something like that. So I'll definitely be jumping onto that depending on what times that they list, if they are doing it, just because it will be easier to work alongside creators than try to figure it all out by myself. But if it does come to that, I will of course put in the effort to learn about and do it. But that's what I'm looking at right now. That's what I'm looking at doing. And to all of the people who for some reason feel like this is just the liberal political movement, I would just encourage you to educate yourself. It should not be a politics thing set to people who will want to be treated like people. To people who are saying all lives matter in response as a juxtaposition to Black Lives Matter, educate yourself, because that should not be where your head is at. That's like saying, and I know this example has been used before, but that's like saying, well, can you put my house out as on fire? And the fireman replies, oh, well, we have to spray down all the houses because all houses matter. That's what you're saying when you say that. And I'll try to find descriptions, or not descriptions, but links to educate yourself with. But if you really need to just look into yourself and see why you feel this way. And to the people who are trying to disvalue the Black Lives Matter movement because there's looting and rioting going on in it, you need to educate yourself as well, because obviously you're looking at it from a very privileged perspective, and I don't know what to tell you. If you're truly angry about the protesters that are looting and rioting, not the other groups that are looting and rioting, then what you need to understand is that the United States have oppressed Black people for centuries. No group of people is going to be oppressed for that long and still be peaceful. In fact, you should really be praising the Black community for putting up with the amount of BS that we have, and applaud that a majority of us are still trying to be peaceful, because the amount of time that this has been going on is too long. And I just really feel moving away from that part of just the naysayers and like-minded people like that. I really feel like this movement is the one that's going to bring about the most change since MLK's movement. Maybe even more change than that. But it won't if we're not participating in it. So that's where I'm at. That's what I'm thinking. I'll definitely be posting more details about the charity movement, or not the charity movement, but the charity stream that I'll be trying to put together. I don't really know if channels as small as mine can really do charity streams, if that's a thing for us, but I definitely I'll try to find a way to make it work, because if you're not a part of the solution, then you are a part of the problem. And I want to, this time around, actually feel like I gave it my all, and I know there's a lot of other people who feel that way as well. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for listening if you made it to this point. I just really wanted to articulate my thoughts and my feelings after thinking about it for a bit, about what I wanted to say. And one more thing before I forget. Engage in conversation about this as much as you can. Like, if you hear someone saying something and you know that that's not right, don't be afraid to shy away from them because you're afraid of how they might perceive you afterwards, or you're afraid of being in a confrontation. You stand up for what you believe in. Like, if you hear someone saying all lives matter, tell them why that's in it, why that's not appropriate to say in response to Black Lives Matter. If you hear someone saying basically downplaying the Black Lives Matter movement because of rioters and looters, explain to them why that's just, I don't even know how to put it, why that's just a really shitty thing to do, and explain to them the perspective that Black people have, or just not just perspective, but just everything that Black people have to go through in America. And just don't be silent. I've been guilty of being silent when confronted with other people's opinions and not standing up for myself, or not voicing my thoughts because I was afraid that they would think of me differently, or I didn't really want to confront them. But I think, or at least no, that mindset has to change as well, because I don't think letting people get away with that is just gonna fly anymore. People have to be held accountable when they say things that are out of pocket. And it could be maybe they were just woefully ignorant. Maybe they really didn't understand what they were saying, and because nobody explained it to them, maybe that's just what their thought is. It could be that they're really just assholes, but it won't be because we're staying silent anymore. And that's what I want to leave this with. Engage in conversation. Donate if you can, and if you can, protest, join the front lines, get the message out there, get into the movement, be active. It's already done a lot of good, but we can do a lot more. And so that's where I'll end it at here. I'll be posting details about the charity most likely on my Twitter, or I might do just a little small video here to explain what I'm gonna do. But yeah, that's it. That's all that I have. Thank you for watching, especially if you gotten this far. And yeah, let's make a difference.